Circle. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Catherine Mattice here with Civility Partners. We are in the business of creating positive and thriving work environments. I have my twin and bestie here with me today, Amber Gough. Amber is really not my twin, but she is one of my great friends. She's the founder of CultivHIRE, and she's focused on purpose-driven recruiting. She's been doing that for over 20 years. She is one of the most giving, wonderful people I've ever met. And she's focused on bringing teams together and building teams that are all focused on a purpose so that they can all work well together and collaborate. So hi, Amber. Thanks for joining me. And we did not plan this.
No, we did not. We've been laughing about it for the last 5 minutes. So no, we did not plan it. Thank you so much for having me. I feel lucky to be in Kat's Corner.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So tell us first just a little bit about what you do and how you focus on purpose and culture as you, just to tell us a little bit about how you approach recruiting.
Absolutely. I'm a professional recruiter. I focus on a couple of different areas: legal, accounting, and administrative positions. The thing that really does differentiate me is that I really seek to align myself and work with companies that care about their culture, that care about their people, that do have a mission, vision, and values of some kind, and that they strive to really work within alignment with that. Research shows if you have individuals that are in alignment and passionate about your purpose and what you're doing, they're going to work harder, stay longer, be more innovative, be more creative, and be more loyal in general. And so really the outcome of that is a better bottom line, to be truthful, and a nice work environment. So a lot of pros from that, but I really care about that. And that's something that I seek to do for my clients, is not just check those hard skills that they're looking for, but also the soft skills and mission alignment.
Okay, that's great. I have more questions about that, but let's circle back to just obviously 2021 is very challenging in terms of retaining talent and finding talent. So tell us about your world and how 2021 has been unfolding for you.
Oh, wow. The pandemic has been nutty, for the lack of better words. There are so many things that are going on, and that mission alignment is like a key piece. It really is. One of the things that's happening, everyone's heard about the Great Resignation, rather. Yes. People are quitting. We're showing about 40% of people are planning to leave their job. I would venture to guess it's more than that, and it's kind of a mixed bag of things that are happening. People are retiring early because they're just over it and they're like, well, I'm done. But they're also looking for another position where they're going to be happier. Culture matters. Like I said, if they're not happy in their current culture, they're like, you know what? Life's short. I'm going to find a better culture. I'm also seeing people, I've heard about the YOLO, or you only live once economy. And we were talking about that earlier this week, that the candidates are like, you know what? I don't want to be an attorney anymore. I'm going to start my own business, or I'm going to start that bakery, or I want to travel the world, or I just want to spend more time with my kids. Just all kinds of things. I'm going to write that book, everything under the sun, because they're like, life's short. Pressures of work have been pretty intense over the last couple of years as well. Of course, hybrid work, remote, all of that is coming into play. Candidates care about that. If you're not offering hybrid or fully remote, certain candidates are just not going to be interested in your position. We've got people just not returning to work because childcare issues, or they just decided they don't want to work. And then, of course, an increase in those candidates have a lot of stressors in their life right now. So things are happening where they don't show up to interviews. And sometimes it's not because they're a D candidate. Sometimes it's because they truly had a distractor, or something came up, or suddenly their kids Zooming from home. It's just like a mixed bag of a mess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
I hadn't heard of the YOLO economy until you mentioned it the other day. So that was news to me, but I've been hearing that. One of our clients does M&A, and they have all these people who work there from Wall Street. And, these are generally hardcore workers because they're from Wall Street. But yeah, they're like, I'm going to open a bakery or start a yoga class or something. It's crazy.
That's happening. And in places where it's really unexpected, just like you're saying, a partner at a law firm that has worked their way up that ladder for years, and they're, nope, I'm done with the law.
Yeah. Yeah. And this whole thing about culture is definitely important. I have seen with some of our clients, we work with clients who need work on their culture, where employees are leaving and they're talking about the culture as a big part of that. So all of that aside, the YOLO or, just deciding they have childcare issues or what have you, that if you're hearing in exit interviews that it still boils down to your culture, then that's a sign that you need to work on your culture. And you can't just say, oh, well, everyone's leaving, that's just the way it is right now. Really look at what's happening. If people are saying I'm leaving because I don't want to do law anymore, that's one thing. If they're leaving because they don't want to be there anymore because they don't like your culture, that's something different, right?
Definitely.
So how do you, when you're recruiting, what's your process for digging into culture and, figuring out what the purpose is and drawing candidates in who are interested in that purpose?
Great question. If I have full access, my ideal client is they give me full access. And what I mean by that is I'm able to survey everyone. I think surveys are an absolute must-have. You need to know what's going on in your culture. And I would also argue that there's like a gradient of people who care that are doing really good in their culture. And then it's like, okay, and then terrible. There's a gradient. And everyone should be working on improving their culture because you can always improve.
Right.
And be aware of that because as companies grow, your cultures evolve. So I think that assessments are key. And I have an assessment that I use that I definitely kind of curate and make it more specific to each client. And I survey everybody from, front lines to the warehouse, if that's applicable, or whomever it may be, and on up to the leader and founders. And those questions include all kinds of culture questions. That could be, why did you apply in the first place? What are your company values? And if your employees don't know what your values are, then are they really your values?
Yeah.
But then also, how do those values show up? If integrity is a value, how does that actually show up in your workplace? Because that can vary. So define it, but then how does it show up? What's your reward system, your leadership style, your benefits, and how do they compare in the industry? Just everything you can imagine, and really how they show up as an employer. And through that, we're able to flush out a lot of really great storytelling. Oftentimes, I take literal direct quotes from employees, and I'm able to plug that information into what I call a job ad, as opposed to a job description. And so I'm able to flush out all that story and then utilize that in my recruiting efforts when I go out to talk to candidates so that I'm able to sell them better. Like, hey, this is who they are. This is what their mission is. This is what difference they make. Are you excited about it? And if they're excited about it, they're going to apply. If they're not, they're going to self-select out. So it's hopefully going to save some time.
That's really awesome.
That's a big issue, though, that job ad versus job description, right? I mean, how many times do you go on the job boards and they're just like, we need these things to say what they do.
Proficient in Microsoft.
Need these things. And the candidate's like, I don't even know what's in it for me. I know nothing about you. There's nothing in it for me. But if you approach those job ads with ad language, what's in it for them? What difference do they make? What's your culture like? Get them excited about it. Then you're more likely to have people apply that are excited to be on your team.
I have to say, I've never, ever met a recruiter who goes through that process that you go through. So you are definitely very unique that you're really digging into culture and essentially doing a culture assessment, which is something we do. I've just never met a recruiter who does it. So that's really cool that you see that need. And I know your clients are really appreciative of all that work that you do. And you're kicking them off on employer branding, right? If you're using stories from the employees to talk about why it's so great, they can put that stuff on their website and start building a brand from all of that work.
Absolutely. It does have there's a lot of upfront work, but in the end, it helps me do my job.
Yeah.
Because if I'm just going out there, civil litigate, I just need a civil litigator. We've got insurance defense is hiring. Everyone insurance defense is hiring. They're like, yeah, so what? But if I lead it with some juicy storytelling that makes them excited, then they're more likely to talk to me.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. What are some other tools and tactics that our listeners can lean on as they're thinking about their recruiting efforts and how they might lean on their culture?
We talked about the job ads versus job descriptions. One thing I want to note about that, I read a great article, and I think that this is very true. It came, Harvard was doing some research around companies that in their job descriptions, they're actually kind of kicking themselves in, stomping on their own foot and hurting themselves by putting too much in the job description as it relates to wish list items.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to qualifications, skills and qualifications, make sure you're not overstating and creating like this list of like, if we could get the purple unicorn to apply to our job, this is what they are. You're actually screening out a lot of potential qualified candidates that actually have your 3 must-haves. So really sell the must-haves and be very, very clear about the wish list items, or just don't even include them when it comes to skills and qualifications. A couple reasons why. Candidates do self-select out if they're looking at wish list items if they don't have it, especially if they're female.
Mm-hmm.
Diversity and inclusion, right? Females will read those and they're like, oh, I don't have that. And so they self-select out. Males are less likely to do that. But additionally, we have a lot of automated systems. And if you're funneling your job description into an automated system, it's going to be selecting candidates out that you would actually want to talk to. And so be very cautious about really clear on what's a wish list versus what's a true qualification when you're creating that portion of the job description. Additionally, be creative. Candidates want you to come to where they're at. And if you're a hiring manager, you don't have a lot of time, but if you're not working with an external recruiter, you can run a quick search on LinkedIn and you may find some profiles that you really like or someone that you've interacted with in the industry.
Yeah.
Send them a note and say, hey, I'm so impressed with you, your work history, what you've been up to. I love also that you give back to the community and you volunteer, kind of stroke their ego because they're going to want to talk to you.
Yeah.
I do that a lot with my clients. We create target lists, like who's your ideal candidate that you don't want to reach out to, but I can.
Right.
And it's big. Candidates are like, ooh, who thinks I'm great?
Yeah. This person thinks I'm great. I would love to talk about how great I am. Sign me up. We have a listener who says some job descriptions are like history class. You can, let me see, you don't like the job. So he agrees with what you're saying about job ads and job postings and all of that. Job descriptions. I always say job descriptions are internal documents. They're not meant to be out there in the world. A job ad is the external version. So they're not, and then Debbie says he's happy to be here and he learned something new. So thanks, Debbie.
Oh,
So in terms of tips, so we have don't use your job description. You got to create a job ad that's juicy and drives people and gets people excited. You want to reach out to people, stroke their ego, tell them you're impressed with them, and then be careful about what all you're listing in the job posting or job ad because you want to make sure you're not getting people who are self-selecting out. These are really, really great tips. And I agree with you. If we're focused on equity and inclusion, we have to think about how that affects our job ads. Do you have other tips around that, around equity and inclusion and recruiting?
Oh, that's a tough one. There are a couple of tips. For one, this is funny. I don't focus on names. And I actually will sometimes recruit people I know. So they're like, I've literally 2 people in my networking group at Provisors that we were both in. I have tried to recruit. They're like, Amber, I'm happy with my own. Like what? Like, oh, I'm sorry. You know that I'm not like discriminatory. Like I'm not discriminating because I didn't even know it was you. But hey, you've got a great experience.
That's funny.
I would focus on experience and avoid, any sort of like, we all have things in our brains that we are trying to fight. So if you're just looking at skills and experience and then reaching out to the person, you're less likely to discriminate. Also, there are filtering systems that you can run your job ads through that will, there are certain languages that we use that might be more feminine or masculine or speak to different cultures or what have you. And so there are some systems that you can filter your job descriptions through so you'll be less likely to discriminate in that way. So
it like scans the job posting for discriminatory language. Okay, that's great.
So like, oh, a female would be more likely to apply to this or a male or what have you. I also would say, I always get a little bit like, when we talk about culture fit versus culture ad. Mm-hmm. when I'm talking about culture, we're not looking for someone that's an exact match to everything you've got in your culture. It's really just someone that's passionate about what you do and in alignment with your values, because you have so much can be said about bringing someone that's a culture add. There's that difference between like, oh, they fit perfectly with us. We went to the same school. We like the same football teams or whatever. Versus like they're going to bring some new diverse perspectives, but yet they're still passionate about what you do. So being really careful to not just be looking for that match,
right?
But culture add, still passionate about who you are as a company.
Right. I like that. I've been hearing that turn of the verbiage a little bit. We used to say culture fit all the time, but I agree with you. And by the way, we have people here from Nepal, India. Someone says we're neighbors. These are really great tips. So give us maybe like what's one amazing tip that we can take away as we're all challenged recruiting in 2021. Give us one last,
Take a deep breath. That's my biggest tip. Like, just breathe through it. We're all struggling through all of these complexities. But also be willing to give someone a chance. Hire for like maybe grit and teachability, because there are a lot of people that are hungry for that chance. And that also touches on diversity inclusion. They maybe haven't had that chance before, but they've got enough of those core skills that you need. And then you can teach on the other things and build upon that. They can become your absolute rock star, all-star, ladder climber, future leader. Give people a chance. As long as they have enough of that foundational skills that you need, that baseline, at the door to someone that's got that kind of like, matter of fact, I'm doing that right now. I'm looking for like a really gritty recruiting coordinator. So if anyone's out there listening, let me know.
Hear that, everyone? Yeah, apply. Please apply.
Grit that's teachable, that's going to grind it out, and they can be your shining star. So if you're having a tough to fill position, don't look for that purple unicorn. Look for the rising star.
Yeah, you're getting lots of, I agree with Amber comments here. And of course I do as well. So then it comes full circle. Your culture has to be focused on your people. And if you lean into your people, they'll lean into the purpose of the organization. And that means you don't have to pay top dollar for the purple unicorn. You can find somebody that you can mold and grow. And honestly, just a couple personal stories. In college, in high school, my dad's an attorney. In high school, I worked as a file clerk in his office. And when I came to San Diego, I got a job with an attorney who had just fired his legal secretary. Timing's everything. I just happened to call. Do you need a file clerk? He's like, I need a legal secretary. I was like, I'm 17. I am not a legal secretary. He's like, just come in. I'm desperate. And worked out for him because he made me exactly the kind of legal secretary he needed. And I worked there for 5 years and did it exactly the way he wanted it done, And so it's there's something to that if you're willing to put the time in to help people learn and grow. And that's why we're on this earth, to learn and grow. That's what we're meant to do, right?
Absolutely. You can train on certain things, but you can't train on character.
Right. So, all right, awesome. Well, thank you. And Lisa says, it sounds, Amber, like you've reinvented the recruiting idea and adding some organizational development aspects. So she is very thankful for having you here today with me. So thanks all for listening.
Pat, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And we'll get, Amber, real quick, tell us where we can find you, and I will post that in the comments here. And please reach out to Amber if you have more questions.
You can find me kind of in all of the places under CultivHIRE. It's short for cultivate, because I like to help you cultivate your, higher level, higher performing organizations through great people. So Cultiv, CultivHIRE.
All right. And of course, if you just Google CultivHIRE or Amber Gough, you'll find her everywhere. It was jokes. Just send her a carrier pigeon. She'll get it. Anyway, thank you again, my twin. And I always enjoy talking about culture with you. And have a great day, everyone.
Good to see you.